now and always. So firstly, I just need to confirm your full names in front of your friends and family. So firstly, if I could ask our groom, is your full name Philip Mark Weller?
Yes.
Thank you. And our bride, is your full name Harriet Vera Jennifer Griffith? So this place in which we are now met has been duly sanctioned according to law for the celebration of marriages. And we are gathered here to witness the joining in matrimony of Philip Mark Weller and Harriet Vera Jennifer Griffiths. I do have to ask that if any person here present knows of any lawful impediment to this marriage, he or she should declare it now. Please don't count. They're all having cake. So for Phil and Harriet, getting married today is a proud confirmation of the love, respect and the true friendship that they have for each other. Together, they will be stronger to meet whatever life holds for them. Somebody agrees. Today, they will exchange vows which will unite them as husband and wife. The words are a formal and public pledge of their love and a promise of lifelong dedication to each other. So Phil and Harriet, before you are joined in matrimony, I have to remind you of the solemn and binding character of the vows you are about to make. Marriage in this country means the union of two people, voluntarily entered into for life, to the exclusion of all others. So I'm now going to ask each of you in turn to declare that you know of no legal reason why you may not be joined in matrimony with each other. So Phil, if you are free to marry Harriet, please could you answer I am to the question that I'm going to ask you. Are you, Philip Mark Weller, free lawfully to marry Harriet Vera Jennifer Griffiths?
I am.
Thank you. And Harriet, same question. Are you, Harriet Vera Jennifer Griffiths, free lawfully to marry Philip Mark Weller?
I am.
So Phil and Harriet, we have gathered about you those whom you love most. Invited them here today to receive their encouragement and support, but most of all to help celebrate your happiness with you. So Harriet and Phil are now going to make their marriage vows with each other. So would you all like to stand with me, please? So Harriet and Phil, these are your marriage vows for each other, and these are the vows that will make you husband and wife. So Phil, if you want to say your vows whilst looking at your beautiful bride Harriet. I, Philip Mark Weller.
I, Philip Mark Weller.
Take you.
Take you.
Harriet Vera Jennifer Griffiths.
Harriet Vera Jennifer Griffiths.
To be my wedded wife.
To be my wedded wife.
Thank you. And Harriet. I, Harriet Vera Jennifer Griffiths.
Harriet Vera Jennifer Griffith.
Take you, Philip Mark Weller.
Take you, Philip Mark Weller.
To be my wedded husband.
To be my wedded husband.
And now your personal vows for each other. So Phil, I, Phil, have chosen you, Harriet,
to
be my wife.
To be my wife.
I promise to always love you.
Promise to always love you.
Laugh with you through our good times.
Laugh with you through our good times.
And comfort you.
And comfort you.
Through the bad.
Through the bad.
I will support you.
I will support you.
In all that you do.
In all that you do.
And walk alongside you.
And walk alongside you.
Hand in hand.
Hand in hand.
As we journey down.
As we journey down.
Our life's path.
Our life's path.
Above all.
Above all.
I will always be.
I will always be.
Your best friend.
Your best friend.
And Harriet. I, Harriet.
I, Harriet.
Have chosen you, Phil.
Have chosen you, Phil.
To be my husband.
To be my husband.
I promise to always love you.
Promise to always love you.
Laugh with you through our good times.
Laugh with you through our good times.
And comfort you.
And comfort
through the bad.
Through the bad.
I will support you.
I will support you.
In all that you do.
In all that you do.
And walk alongside you.
And walk alongside you.
Hand in hand.
Hand in hand.
As we journey down.
As we journey down.
Our life's path.
Our life's path.
Above all.
Above all.
I will always be.
I will always be.
Your best friend.
Your best friend.
Would you like to have a seat, ladies and gentlemen? Harriet and Phil, the purpose of marriage is that you may always love, care for and support each other through all the joys and sorrows of life. That you may find fulfilment in a relationship of permanent and continuing commitment. that each of you can draw strength from the constant and the enduring love of the other, and that in turn you provide a solid foundation of love, tolerance and respect for each other to lean upon when you both need a friend to turn to. But although you both continue to grow and change, please never lose sight of the strength of feeling which you have for each other, and which you are bearing witness to by your marriage here today in the presence of your friends and family. So we now come to the exchange and giving of rings, which is the traditional way of sealing the vows that you've just made. The wedding ring is an unbroken circle, has no beginning and no end, and it symbolises unending and everlasting love. And it is the outward sign of the promises that you're making with each other here today. So I'd like to ask Best Man Declan to present to Phil the ring that he's going to give to Harriet. Thank you. So please just place the ring to start off with on the edge of Harriet's finger, and as you're saying the words and looking at her, to gradually put the ring into place. I promise to care for you.
I promise to care for you.
To remain true to you.
To remain true to you.
And above all.
And above all.
To love.
To love.
And respect you.
And respect you.
Always. It's not coming off, this name. Thank you. I'd like to ask Declan to come forward again to present to Harriet the ring she's going to give to Phil. Thank you, Declan. I promise to care for you.
I promise to care for you.
To remain true to you.
To remain true to you.
And above all.
And above all.
To love.
To love.
And respect you.
And respect you.
Always. Thank you. So finally, I'd just like to share some words to a Victorian guide to love, courtship and marriage, which seems very appropriate in this beautiful building that we're gathered in today. So this is especially for Harriet and Phil, of course, but also for every other couple in the room today, and it gives some advice which still seems to ring true today. Don't ever both be angry at the same time. Never let the cares of the world assume such importance that they cause you to neglect each other. Be genuinely concerned with each other's trials and tribulations. If you do have to make a criticism, do it in the most gentle way possible. Don't be cross with an error which was done with a good motive and the best judgment at the time. Don't boast about the sacrifices that you will make for each other. And most importantly, whenever you do have to say goodbye, always make time for a loving goodbye. So Harriet and Phil, you have both made the declarations required by law, exchanged rings and made solemn promises in the presence of your friends and family gathered with you here today. So this day is the start of a new chapter in your lives together. And we all know that the feelings of love which you have for each other are going to deepen and grow even stronger throughout the many, many years ahead for you as a married couple. So it's now my great privilege and pleasure to say that you're husband and wife, which means a big kiss for all of you.
Conventional for women to do a speech at a wedding, but guys, it's 2018 and you don't let the men do all the talking. I will then hand over to our grandfather Baba. He's told me he's not going to talk about Harriet, so in case that's true, I better say a few words. She has blossomed into a kind and very beautiful gal. I mean, look at her today. I've been told that on the day Harriet was born and barely left the hospital, I was at home clinging onto all my toys, literally holding them wherever I went, scared to let them go, holding on for dear life. I think knowing Harry now, I might have been right to keep hold of them, because whatever Harriet wants in life, she gets. She has had fearless drive from such a young age. When we shared a room during primary school, I'd be there getting my beauty sleep, hanging out, chilling, and around 5 a.m. every morning, Harriet would be there, trudging up the drive, going to clean out horse poo, doing her horsey thing. Then she'd get back to shower and have the audacity to wake me up for school. She's also one of the bravest people I know. When I was 5, I was given this radio which I was obsessed with. And every night Harriet would creep into my room across the corridor to listen to it with me. And then all of a sudden you'd hear boom, boom, boom. It's Dad, and he'd come in, grab her by the scruff and send her back to her room. Then 10 minutes later, you'd hear pitter-patter of tiny Harriet feet heading towards my door to listen again. And that's when I knew we'd be friends forever. That or she just had a new obsession with the Spice Girls. I feel very blessed to have a sister that gave me so many laughs over the years. We won't talk about the tears. My childhood memories with her are so precious. Mostly made up of dance routines and show jumping. Sometimes dance routine combined with show jumping. I won't do a demo, but we will see their first dance later. I know some of you must feel the same way about your siblings, but me, Harry and Fred have been a team since the beginning, supporting each other through some of the worst times. I think we've learnt from a very young age that laughter can get you through even the bad, and the bond we have now I wouldn't change for the world. I have to say it, but I am relieved Harriet refined her taste in men, because there were some shockers. And she's ended up with the absolute winner. Harriet truly has met her match, and I'm so excited to welcome Phil into the family, although I'm not sure how happy he is to have me as a sister. And for those that may not know, there's a lot of us siblings. There's a lot of us, we're a big clan. We have 2 little brothers, Sebastian and Archie, and then there's Hannah and Liggy, who are here with their husbands. Pete's here with his wife. Guess that leaves you and me, Fred? Or Henry? Henry, love. Phil, Harry, Freddie and I recently travelled to Mallorca for Pete and Avion's wedding, which was amazing. And it was such a good bonding experience for us all, from airport to the wedding. I mean, Phil was literally thrown into the deep end and travelling with 3 girls, and coped surprisingly well. It was great to see another side of Phil, actually. Aside from his laddie army exterior, he had to endure a lot. A lot of the same song in the car journeys. And by the end, I'm pretty sure he started to like Dua Lipa. He also has the voice of an angel. I've been so lucky to witness time and time again what an amazing, funny gentleman he is, and I really couldn't ask for anyone better for my sister. I know you're going to get this a lot tonight, Harriet, but today has been... You look beautiful. Today has been emotional. Not only because you're marrying the man of your dreams, but today has also brought us all together with the one shared reason of loving you. This is the beginning of a new chapter for us all, and I can't wait. Over to you, Barbara.
I was reading my paper yesterday and I found this little snippet. It says, Jimmy Tarbuck was speaking at a lunch. He had been given some advice, and the advice was as follows. The secret is to never speak for longer than it takes to make love. At which point, Jimmy Tarbuck said thank you. And sat down. Very, very tempting to continue. I do not intend to try and match my gorgeous granddaughter's eulogy to her sister. Instead, I'm going to tell a fairy story. But first, may I say, my lovely granddaughter, Harriet, has always been very, very beautiful. Never more, I venture to say, than today.
Yeah.
I also say how incredibly well the military's turned themselves out today. Immaculate, bushy tail, bright eyes. I doubt very much they'll look like that at the end of the evening. My fairy story. I need a This is my fairy story. Right, are you all sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. Once upon a time, there was a bride and groom. Well, partly a bride and groom, because there was also a host and hostess. I think you all know that Harriet and Phil are not only our bride and groom, but they're also our hosts today. This is their wedding, planned, executed, and paid for. Now, to some extent, we've all chipped in on the paid for bit. The two mums hugely. Phil's nan, Jim and Charlie, quite a lot. Tim and Anne, considerably. But when you boil it down, this is their day in every sense of the word, and I'd just like to remind you how we got here. They met about 4 years ago. Phil was a young squire, learning such dark military arts as how to dress for mess dinners, who the hell is Mr. Vice. Harry was a young lady of the bedchamber, known in modern language as a student. But the stars were not published. They were to go their separate ways. Phil mounted his charger, donned his armour, and rode off to crowd control Russian tourists in Cyprus. Harriet returned to her studies of alchemy. Fortuitously, she did not get hooked on apples, nor did she run off with 7 small men. she says. For they were to meet again entirely by chance, and this is their version of the event, in a place that neither of them had ever been to in their lives before, which is proof that this is, of course, a fairy story. The fact was, though, they were suddenly an item. They would pause. These two don't do pauses. They would have a castle. Not any old castle, they'd have their own castle. There was a problem. No magic money dust. They consulted the families. The families were helpful. Save hard for 10 years, and maybe was one suggestion. Don't was another. All seemed lost, when suddenly, sprinkling down from the skies, was magic money dust. It was trickling through the tightly clenched fingers of Father Christmas and a fairy godmother. Or to put this another way, it was trickling down through the tightly clenched fingers of Harriet's father, my God, it must be Christmas, and Phil's boss, the Queen. The castle was acquired. They needed to secure it. They bought a dragon. The dragon is called Dog. Dog is very large, very pampered, very powerful. With Dog there, surely they were secure. They could settle into the small sofa, because the big sofa is for Dog. Harry could plan her riding stables. Phil could plan his tomato farm. No. He had to ride off. He had to ride off to foreign parts to find the witch's tower, to climb to the top, to use the magic white stone, and rescue the maiden. To put this in modern parlance, they booked a long weekend in Amsterdam and dinner at the top of the tallest building in the town. This building has a swing that flies off the top parapet. At the end of dinner, Phil gave Harriet the choice. She could either have a ride on the swings or the magic white stone. They were engaged. Now they would pause. No, they still don't do pauses. They were married. There was still a problem. Even less magic money dust than before. They consulted the family. The family was helpful. Save hard for 10 years. I suggested in the registry office and maybe a bottle party at Grace Green Village Hall. I was struck down by a bolt of lightning. This is known in other languages as a Harriet glare. But you see, they were no longer maid and squire. They were now Knight Templar and Apothecary General. They would do their own wedding. They could do their own they have done their own wedding, and not any ordinary wedding, but a damn cracking good wedding it is too. A final thought. My sister had a poem which she really loved. I can only remember the last line of it. The pig got up and slowly walked away. It has absolutely nothing to do with pigs. It's about friendship, how we reflect our friends and our friends reflect us. This room is full of Harris and Phil's friends. You are successful, talented people, but much more important, you are kind, decent, honourable, good fun, good company. You mirror our host and hostess, and they mirror you. May I ask you to stand and bring, please, to our host and hostess, our bride and groom, Harris and Phil.
Moving to the other side of the table, to my mum. I haven't started yet, Mum, I'm crying. I'm sure this gets said a lot at occasions like this, but I genuinely don't think I can put into words how grateful I am for everything that you've done for me. I know I haven't always made it easy over the last 26 years, but through thick and thin, you've been there for me, you've loved me, and you've supported me. And regardless of the situation, good or bad, you've always made me try and become a better person because of it. It's a massive cliche, but I really don't think I'd be the man I am today if it wasn't for everything that you've done. Although it's not strictly traditional, it's really important for me today that I mention my uncle and auntie, Tim and Anne. Over the past 10 years or so, there's been some fairly difficult times within our family, yet without fail, you've been there to support not only me, but my mum, my sister and my niece as well. You've been a huge influence in my life, and you really are the glue that holds everything together. And I don't say this nearly as enough as I should, but I'm so grateful for everything that you've done. So thank you so much. Not including my gorgeous wife, there's 5 other special ladies that require mention today. And one of them is sat to the right of Harriet. You have your moment, Lucy. So the bridesmaids, Millie, Georgie, Freddie, Steph, Kathy, I want to thank you for 2 reasons. Firstly, for convincing Harriet this is actually a good idea. And secondly, for the friendship and support that you've shown her over the years, but also in particularly the run-up to today. You all look incredible. You've all done an outstanding job. And from me to you, thank you for looking after her this morning. In addition to that, I really want to give a shout out to my niece Eloise. You looked stunning coming down that aisle. You did an outstanding job. I've got written down here, thank the groomsmen. Now, I thought about this on the way in this morning. You haven't really had a lot to do. I gave you one job, and that was don't get too drunk too early. And by the looks of it, you've well and truly failed that one. Thanks, lads. Nice one. The final thank you that I've got is, of course, for my best man, Dec. Again, for 2 reasons. Firstly, for showing me the cultural side that Bournemouth has to offer. It's a great town, loads of really beautiful architecture. Maybe one day we'll go back and try and recover the rest of my soul. But on a serious note, for being my best mate for the last 10 years, you know, it's not true what they say about you. You're actually alright. So, to the main event, the reason that I'm stood here today, the first thing that I want to say to Harriet really is a huge thank you and a massive congratulations for your organisation today. I know how much time and effort you've put into today, and everything from the venue itself all the way down to the small details is perfect. The whole thing has been absolutely stunning, and I hope that it's been everything that you've ever wanted, because I know it has been for me. So I think traditionally at this point, I'm supposed to give a really romantic story about how Harriet and I both met. But for those of you that will know it, you'll know that that would quite simply involve a lot of my outstanding wit, charm, and for those of you that watch Love Island, a lot of what would be described as cracking on. That night for some might not be viewed as particularly special, but the years that have followed have truly been the most special of my life. I like to think that I'm usually quite a good reader of people. I like to think it doesn't take me long to suss people out. But with Harriet, that couldn't be further from the truth. Even now, every single day, Harriet surprises me, excites me, motivates me, challenges me. And because of the person that she is, she inspires me to be the best possible person I can be because of it. When it comes to relationships, I think the million-dollar question that everyone asks or everyone wonders is, how do I know that I found the right person? How do I know that I found the one? And for me, that couldn't have been easier. Before Harriet and I both met, we both had our own ambitions, our own dreams, our own goals. And not long after us getting together, naturally those goals, ambitions and dreams aligned and merged with one another's. And from that point, there hasn't been a day gone by where I haven't woken up with a smile on my face, safe in the knowledge that we get to spend the rest of our life achieving every single one of those dreams together. We make a formidable team, and I'm confident that there's nothing life can throw at us that we won't be able to deal with together. I said this at our engagement party, and I'll say it again tonight. If there's one lesson that I've learned from being with Harriet, it's that it doesn't matter what happens in life, it doesn't matter how good, it doesn't matter how bad. As long as we've got each other, then we've always got something. I'm just going to finish, ladies and gents, by saying one thing, and that's that today I haven't just gained the gift of a beautiful wife. I've gained a best friend, and I've gained a soulmate. But more than that, I've gained the everlasting image of you walking down the aisle, just radiating such elegance and beauty. And that, for me, ladies and gents, is the greatest gift that I could ever ask for. If I could ask you to be upstanding and join me in a toast. To my beautiful wife, to Harriet.
So good evening everyone, Phil and your lovely wife, Harriet. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Declan Johnson. I'm currently single, looking for my future wife. So I had the pleasure of meeting Phil when I was 16 years old. We were both sprightly young kids running around. We went to Welbeck Defence Sixth Form College. And since that moment, I probably always hoped that I'd have the opportunity to stand up in front of a room full of people that he loved and completely rip them to shreds. So, when I started writing the speech, I started thinking to myself, I don't know who's going to be more nervous, whether it be me, because I'm shit in a brick, sorry kids, or Phil. And then I found out quite quickly that it was Harriet, because when I was on the phone to Phil the other day, he actually said to me that her main concern for her wedding was the fact that I was allowed to stand up in front of people and ruin the day. So with that in mind, I'll do my best to make sure that that's not the case. But then if I do, girls, my room is room 34, just out the back door. So firstly, I think I need to say a big thank you, obviously, to the venue. I don't know if any of the coordinators are here tonight, but I think the venue's awesome. I've had a lovely day. I'm well on my way. I'm sure some of you are, and hopefully you will be a bit more later on. And obviously, Harriet, you've organised the most incredible day today. The planning that's gone into this is far beyond my capacity. And I think it's an awesome day, and I think we should all give a hand to Harriet for what she's done today. I was going to give a shout out to all the bridesmaids, but I've realised that a few are missing because someone's got more shit than I did. So, on to the bit about my best mate Phil. Oh, I'm so excited. So as I said, I met Phil when I was 16. From that point onwards, we were pretty much inseparable, and I thought I'd met my brother. He was consistently the driven one and successful one. That's what I've written here anyway. he seemed to consistently pit me to the post when it came to achieving our aims and goals. So within the first 2 weeks of being at Welbeck, we made it to the rugby team. Quite swiftly, he became the captain, and I was just a person. After that, he secured his place at Loughborough before me. We then completed our degrees, and I stayed behind because I was fat and lazy. He then did an Ironman, which I dropped out of because of the preceding bit I spoke about. And then 2 years prior to when I finally got there, he commissioned as an officer and has now found a beautiful wife, which I'm still hanging out for. So I guess when I was writing it, I was thinking, well, what's my saving grace? And then I realised I'm the better looking one and my nose is not that. So even with the long list of success that Phil's obviously achieved today, and he consistently seems to achieve, I have at times had my doubts. To demonstrate this, I thought I'd think of a couple of examples that I could share with you today, and that took me a long time to find ones that were appropriate. So the first of these was during our second year of uni. Phil and I had been in separate halls for our first year, but we were about 100 metres away from each other. And then we moved into a beautiful residential house that was just outside Loughborough, and it certainly wasn't the student area. And then me, Phil, small Chinese bloke at the back, and George moved in there. And it's safe to say the neighbours weren't that best pleased. So then at that point, one of the examples I thought I could use today was we were tasked one day with clearing out an ISO container full of crap from work. And I came across a small jerry can that was full of what we thought was some sort of fuel. So I thought, you know what, we'll take that home because we're cheap students, and we can fill the car with it, if it's petrol. So we took it home, and at that point the lads thought it'd be quite funny. Well, not quite funny, we came up with what we thought was a great colour. Great plan. We were 100% going to take this fuel, take it home, try and light it, and then if it was petrol it'd light, and if it was diesel it probably wouldn't. So I said to Phil and George, I was like, George, Phil, can you take this outside and try and light some of it on fire, and we'll find out if it's petrol or not, and then I can put it in my car. So at which point Phil decided he was going to walk outside, get a plastic cup, fill it full of said fuel, and then light the fuel on fire. So it was petrol, the fuel lit on fire, then the plastic cup melted, then the wooden bench in our garden that you put it on decided to get covered in fuel, and that then lit on fire. So Phil's plan to put out a petrol fire was to run inside, get a stein full of water, and then chuck that on a petrol fire. So then at that point, in the nice residential part of Loughborough, our entire garden bench was ablaze. And it wasn't the 5th of November. So the second I thought I'd use was when Phil decided at some point in his life he'd go for Olympic swimming gold. We were shopping at Tesco, and Phil quite quickly realised he wasn't that flush with cash. None of us were, we were all students. So when we walked outside and offered him a fiver to get in a puddle and show me his best breaststroke, he turned around and said it would cost you a tenner. So, you know, I scraped the change together and I said, you know what, I'll give you a tenner to do that. So I offered him a tenner, at which point Phil proceeded to, fully dressed, lie down in a giant puddle in the car park and show me his best breaststroke. He then stood up, dripping wet, and said, I'll have that tenner. And it was at that point, I didn't really expect to see him in this position now, if you know what I mean. So, whilst I was writing the speech, I looked at some guides online as to what it is I meant to put into the speech. And a lot of them said that at this point in time, after I've written it, I'm meant to then tell you about how I give you two advice for your future life, together. Don't know if I'm best placed. But I'll give it a go, right? So, next page. Thanks. So, a quote that I've heard a number of times and I like to think back to is that a man is the sum of his memories. Obviously that's applicable to women too. And I often think about that quote in relation to how I've lived my life up until this day. In the time that I've known Phil, I've created some of the best memories and incredible memories that I've ever had. We've laughed, I've cried. We fought, I threw a stein at his head. have seen that one. We got arrested together. Mum. Why? But it is evident to me that, you know, Phil is lucky enough to have many people around this room that have influenced him as a person, and they've influenced the makeup that he has today as a man. The same goes for Harriet. There's also so many of you here that have had influence on her and turned her into the most beautiful and kind-hearted person that I've met in a long time, and it's just unfortunate she married Phil. But I also thought I could consider the quote against today in the relationships and marriage. And when we consider the happiest of couples in their lives, they don't revel in materialistic things. It's not about the cars they have, the houses that they drive. You know, good stuff. But it's not the materialistic things, you know. It's the times that they can sit down and they revel in the memories that they have together, and the ones that they've created in their relationship today. I look at my grandparents as an example, and I'm sure many of you around here can think of people around you or people that you know who have memories that they always tell you about. You know, they don't tell you about how great their life is, the car they drive, the house that they've got, or the house that they drive. They tell you about the incredible memories that they made together, and it's evident to me that already, Phil and Harriet, you've made some incredible memories together, and I think that you'll continue to do that. So I can only wish you the perfect happiness in the future, but also to remind you that a relationship to me is the sum of its memories. So I'd like everyone to be upstanding and to make a toast to the memories of Phil and Harriet. To the memories.